Yeah, like. Sup, nerds? It's basketball. Welcome to Horse, a basketball podcast about everything except for the wins and losses. My name is Mike Schubert. So many trades for us to discuss to the episode needing to happen. It's Adam Amola. Adam, how's it going?
Yeah, we don't even have time to riff.
Speed mode. There's so much stuff. It's wild. We talk about basketball. We're going to do so in the Teal Memorial locker room. Compliment towards the Teal Memorial locker room. You know who's cool? Our patrons. What's up with the patrons?
Well, we do have some patron updates, and we don't want to go too fast through that because there's some exciting business happening.
Yeah, so first, shout out to our new producer-level patrons. So Trish, a.k.a. the Trish that Allie has been saying hi to in Hi Trish. So now her patron name is going to be Hi Allie. So we've got Hi Trish and Hi Allie with people saying hi to each other.
It's awesome.
That's fantastic.
I love
it. That's very, very good. And we also have a new patron, Rachel B. And we also have a patron who increased their monthly contribution, and that is Ted Lasso's Mustache. So shout out to all of those folks. Shout out to people for joining the new tiers. If you haven't, go get at it. And shout out to the people who joined so early that I had to issue the refunds. By the time you're hearing this episode, your refund will be issued. Now, of course, also shout out to our producer-level patrons, Polly Burge, Salvatore Testa, Siobhan Ellsbury, Don't Go Chasing Taco Falls, Bang, Bang, Roast Beef Debris, Denver Steam Nuggets, Anna Reed, Steph Curry, and Jimmy Buckets for 3.
Bang!
And Clang, because Jimmy's not good at them. Hi, Trish. Yeah. I guess hi, Trish now. Hi, Allie. Should we slot in Hi, Allie right after? Yeah. Hi, Trish. Hi, Allie. Chase Underulo, Naked Rachel, Sidney Crosby as a vampire, Chelsea's cousin, Ginger Spurs boy, Bulls to the Bulls, and Mats Furley. You know who else is cool and we got to talk about?
Our sponsor.
Our sponsor, Shaker and Spoon. Go to shakerandspoon.com/horse. You get $20 off your box. You can make fancy drinks and stuff. Shaker and Spoon. All right, cool. Unless you're listening on Patreon where you don't hear these, you're going to hear some inserted ads. And then once those are complete, we'll get back into this episode of Horse. All right, Adam, we're here. What do you got going on? Anything new?
I'll make this very quick. I'm going to do a quick rattle off of the upcoming dates that I have. You would make a good auctioneer. That's what I'm learning is this is pretty impressive
people
stuff.
think I already talk fast. Imagine when I try to talk fast.
Oh, yeah. That's a problem. All right. If you are listening to this the day that it comes out, I will be in Tyler, Texas tomorrow. That is Wednesday the 12th.
I thought you were about to say I'm going to be in Thailand, and I would have been
I am going to be in Thailand just for a quick one-nighter, and then I'm going to fly right back. Now, I'm going to be in
I'm at Bangkok Comedy Club.
I mean, there is comedy in Thailand. There's comedy everywhere.
Yeah.
But, all right, quick rattle off of dates. If you're listening to this the day it comes out on February 12th, that is a Wednesday, I'm headlining Rose City Comedy Club in Tyler, Texas. The next night, I'm at the Creek in the Cave in Austin, Texas. I've already heard Artie Party is going to be there. Shout out Artie Party.
Let's go.
On the 14th and 15th, I will be at Dallas Comedy Club, and LUKA will not be there. Sorry, I'm very sorry to anyone who's a Dallas fan.
Too soon? Not soon enough.
No, too soon.
Not soon enough.
The following weekend, the 21st and 22nd of February, I'll be in Boulder, Colorado at Hotel Boulderado for Comic Sense. Bennington, Vermont, March 1st, New Brunswick, New Jersey at the Stress Factory, March 13th. I'll be in Philly. That's a new date drop. That is April 12th. And Wethersfield, Connecticut is also a new one. That is the weekend of May 16th and 17th. Then Bozeman, Montana on May 30th. And Las Vegas, Nevada, June 2nd through 8th. What about you?
Same stuff. Nothing new has been added. The only thing that has changed is that the Richmond show sold out, so we had to upgrade to a bigger place.
Hell yeah.
So we were in a 100-seat thing. Now we are going to be in a 150-seat thing. So
That's awesome.
Come through to that. That's on February 23rd. Yeah, thank you. And then by the time you're hearing this, the Baltimore show will have already happened. And then Houston is in March. Please come to that show. Not a lot of people bought tickets. Come to the Houston show so that my family is not embarrassed about me. And then and I got a whole run of stuff in the Midwest in April, and then Montreal and in Buffalo in May. So go to schub.es/tour to check out those. And then I have a couple of things booked in August, but ticket sales aren't live yet. So that will be announced sometime in the near future. But for now, that's what we got. Okay. We have an MB Q&A and you said it's relevant, yeah?
Oh, it is relevant. We got anytime you get an all caps subject, you know it's serious. This is an email from Claire. The subject says, urgent about LUKA trade. Message. Hello, I am a longtime listener, started with Potterless and worked my way over here. I started listening to Horse because my fiance is a huge NBA fan. I know you guys are not crazy LUKA fans, but my fiance is a born and raised Dallas boy, and I have declared my team loyalty since moving here and have loved going to games and watching LUKA. I need you guys to break down why on earth the Mavs would trade LUKA for AD, because I am devastated. I've heard some conspiracy that this is to promote the new AD Impractical Jokers special, and I'm praying that this is a prank. Thank you in advance. I have been sick over this for days. Crying emoji. And what better way to get into full court press? Get it like the news.
I do get it. I get it. So yeah,
I get it more than I get the LUKA trade. I'll tell you that right now.
Oh my God. Yeah. So that's going to be the bulk of what we talk. We're recording this on February 6th at 3:12 p.m. Eastern. So the trade deadline just passed to make sure that we can talk about every trade. But the wildest trade of the trade deadline, and
it's our lives.
Not hyperbolic.
Of our lives.
It isn't of all time. Like, it is not a hyperbole.
Any sports I can think of.
Yes. The most shocking trade, certainly in basketball. I'm not well versed enough in other sports to know, but like, it's up there. But it is not an exaggeration to say that this is the most shocking trade. Now, you can also argue that it might be the worst trade. It might be many other things, but shocking the most because it was so secret. The news dropped at like midnight-ish on a Saturday. I was driving home with my buddy Steven from the show I did in Hartford, and I think the first I saw was our buddy Chris texting us.
Yeah.
And I opened the Twitter link on a Safari browser because I've deleted Twitter off my phone to be on it less. And I was just like, this can't be real. Like,
well, and he also sent it to us with the caveat of like, I think Shams got hacked, which is what everybody thought.
It's one of those things where like you look at the trade and it's not like so stupid that you don't believe it. Like, it's not so horrible that you completely throw it out. Like, it's not like they said they traded LeBron James for, Deuce McBride or something. Like, it's not that we've traded an incredible player for no one, or like, something like that. It's not good enough that you think it's fake. And especially there was no rumblings. And that's when the whole, like, the most shocking thing comes in, is like, we've had big stars get traded. We've had lopsided star trades, especially when people force their way out. And there's been some bumbling or rumbling of stuff where you think like something's happening, or a player wants something, or it's like at least the writing's on the wall. No one knew about this. The player said they didn't know. Every other team in the league said they didn't know because Nico Harrison only talked to Rob Pelinka. Nico Harrison, the GM of the Mavs, talking to Rob Pelinka, GM of the Lakers. And it's just a weird trade. So like, let's first say the actual trade, which I still cannot believe is real. The Dallas Mavericks trade Luka Doncic, Maxi Kleber, who's good, but just like hurt a lot, and Markieff Morris. And then the Dallas Mavericks receive Anthony Davis, who is good, but 6 years older than Luka Doncic, Max Christie, who has like some promising upside, and a 2029 first-round pick from the Mavs. And then the Jazz also get in there to make the money work. They get Jalen Hood-Schifino, who's kind of like a bench player in the Lakers, and then 2 second-round picks. So this trade drops, and I don't know. My first reaction was like, this cannot be real. What was your first thought? I truly, absolutely believed that Shams Charania was hacked.
My first reaction to it was exactly what yours and the rest of the world's was, which is, this cannot be real. Because when you think about what like the Knicks gave up for Mikal Bridges, who, all due respect to Mikal Bridges, is not Luka Doncic.
No.
Like, I think there's a case to be made that if the Mavs got 7 first-round picks back, people still would have been like, what the fuck are you doing?
Yes, that's the interesting thing that I think I want to definitely get into, because I'm excited to make this episode. There's been a lot of people asking me, like people who are like, I don't really listen to Horse, but I think I'm going to tune into this episode because I'm confused. Everyone's so bad.
If you leave everybody. After this, thanks for being here.
Yeah, all good. Thank you for listening. But the thing is, it's such a surprising move that I agree with you. Even if the return was good, people would still be mad. But the problem is that the return is not enough for Luka. Like, he's so good. I would say, like, absolutely no question, he's a top 5 player. Like, no argument to be made. If anyone has him outside of your top 5, I like question whether or not you actually watch basketball.
Yeah.
Very fair argument to say he's a top 3 player. Like,
sure.
Top 3, you want to call some combination of Jokic, Giannis, Luka, SGA,
Anthony
and
Edwards,
Tatum,
maybe.
Like, yeah, like you've got like he's so good. He's so good. And he's 25 years old. He's 25 years old, which in basketball is like pre-prime. 28 is like when you're like really in your prime in basketball. If you're 32 like me, you're getting your last contract. And if you're 30, you're 36 or 37?
37.
37, yeah, you're like, when are we getting?
I'm Udonis Haslem.
We're approaching your retirement tour.
Yeah.
We're wondering when your contract comes off the books. So he's younger than that. Anthony Davis is 31, turning 32 in a month. And I think Luka's 25, turning 26 in a month. So 6-year age gap. And it's just a really shocking trade because he is so beloved by the franchise in terms of the fan base. They absolutely love him. He is the guy. He's proven himself to be the guy. He came in and was good almost immediately. He's had great playoff runs. He dragged that team to the finals, who had no business being in the finals. No. Dragged that team to the finals because he was unreal. He had the record for the 2024 postseason for points, rebounds, and assists, I believe, which is just absolutely ridiculous. Like averaging like 35 points a game or something. Just truly absurd numbers. One of those guys like LeBron with his playoff runs in the Cavs and some other players where you're just like, it doesn't matter who else you have on the team because he's an offense by himself. Harden with the Rockets. Yeah. Like it's these guys where it's just like, you don't have to worry about anything else because this dude's just so good.
It is so shocking. And one of my favorite things that I saw floating around was people who don't follow sports being like, explain this to me in different terms or explain it to me in music terms. That, I think.
Did you see the Timberlake one? Because that's the best one.
No, the one that I saw
So the
was
Destiny's Child one is a joke.
Like trading Beyonce to TLC for Chili.
For Chili. That is, I think, disrespectful to Anthony Davis. Because Anthony Davis is good. He's just like best case scenario in his prime. I would say past
What's the Timberlake thing?
So it's someone posted this in the Discord for the Newest Olympian. It was, I think it like someone else found it and then like screenshotted the tweet. But it would be like if in 2014 One Direction traded Harry Styles for Justin Timberlake.
Exactly.
Where it's like 2014 Justin Timberlake still very good. He just released the 2020 experience thing, like suit and tie, like good. But Harry Styles already like at his level with more upside.
Right.
Like that's the thing of the trade is you have two players where LUKA is better than Anthony Davis, just straight up. And LUKA is so much younger.
If you paid to go to a Taylor Swift concert, you don't want to see Sabrina Carpenter. All due respect.
Well, she was the opening act for Taylor for a couple for subjects. But no, like there is the upward trajectory of LUKA. He's already incredible. And worst case, he will just like sustain this. And then like the trade is announced. Shams Charania has to tweet, "I didn't get hacked." And my first thought was, that's exactly what a hacker would say.
Right.
But then
Bobby
Bobby
Marks,
Marks,
we need you to be posting a video and holding up a newspaper from today.
Then Bobby Marks, who's his coworker at ESPN, quote tweets it and was like, no, guys, he's not hacked. And then I was like, once I saw that tweet, I was like, oh my God, this is real. Like, no one's trying to hack Bobby Marks. No disrespect to Bobby, but like, no one's trying to hack you. So if he's out here being like, yo, guys, this is real. And then it was like an actual article on ESPN.com. Now, the article was just a Shams Charania tweet. So it is just a vessel to have all of those other ads that show up on the page earn the money, which I'm sure worked. But like, if you're putting an actual article on a web page on ESPN.com, like it's real and there are sources, like you don't make that unless you feel supremely confident in it. And then it just hit me like, okay, so this is real. They've done this. And then you just try to think of the justifications. And at least what I was trying to think of was, it's got to be the owners don't want to pay LUKA the money because LUKA is in a situation where I believe not after this season, but I think after next season.
Correct. He would have been due for a Supermax that would have been worth, I think, around $350 million.
Yeah, it's like $345 million.
Essentially getting traded
years.
has cost him $100 million.
Yes. Now, he might get that back because of being in Los Angeles instead of Dallas, but like, yeah. Now,
nevertheless.
Yeah, because I think what happens is the season ends, he has like a player option. He's probably going to opt out of it. A player option is when the player gets to decide if they want to have the final year of their contract or leave it early in hopes of getting more money or a longer deal, etc. So I believe next season would have been the negotiations of the Supermax extension, where the Mavs, can offer it to Luka. No one else can bid him anything, and he has up until a certain date during next year's season to decide, I would like to extend this. And the whole reason that Luka wants to do it is no other team can offer him that much money. It's this thing the NBA does to try to incentivize star players to stay with their team, because sometimes players like Shaquille O'Neal in the 90s would get on the Orlando Magic, and then there wouldn't really be a reason for him to stay with the Magic versus go to the Lakers, who's in a more desirable market with a better team. So he's going to pick that. So they decided, okay, giving him more money is the incentive.
Yeah, and now to be clear, pretty much everyone, and I could be wrong, correct me if I'm wrong, but as far as I know, pretty much everyone who's been eligible to sign such a contract has done so. Now, does that mean that they necessarily finish their tenure on that team? No. You take the money, and then if you end up wanting to get traded later, that's what happens. And if you're a Zach LaVine, maybe that's harder to do because you're kind of overpaid. But if you're Kevin Durant, then people make it work. So that's kind of like the way that it has operated.
Right. So there's no doubt that Luka wants to take this contract, even if he isn't happy in Dallas. But he is happy in Dallas.
He never expressed that he wasn't.
Closed. Yeah. He never expressed that he wasn't, and he just closed on a $15 million home like a week or two ago, or at least a week or two at the time of the trade. So like, he is fully committed. And since the trade, he had quotes where he was like, "I thought I was going to finish my career here." Like, he thought he was going to be like Dirk, just like a Mav for lifer kind of guy. So no sorts of rumbling. So my first thought is, okay, the owners just don't want to pay him the Supermax. The Mavs have new owners. Mark Cuban famously sold the team to these people who are like made their money doing casinos and stuff. They're clearly trying to make gambling happen in Texas. They just, it was revealed that Greg Abbott, a piece of shit politician in Texas who's an actively terrible person, he has always been against sport gambling. And then now he's pro sports gambling. And then he may have received a $1.5 million campaign donation from this family.
Oh, interesting.
So, just an interesting, funny how that changes, how you're against your entire political career until these people who've made their money in Vegas start doing business in Texas and then pay you money. So these new owners.
Everything's bigger in Texas, even the assholes.
Yes. God, he sucks so much. Him and Ted Cruz. It's wild. Anyway,
we should trade them.
My thought is, God, please, but that, to a different country. But so then, or to hell. But anyway, but like, my thought is, they don't want to pay Luka. They don't want to pay him this money. Like, it doesn't matter how good he is. They don't want to do it. Even if that's the situation, which like I vehemently disagree with, that's fine. Even if it's the situation you want to trade Luka, which is a not smart thing to do. You got to get as much value for it as you can, because like you were saying earlier, even if they got a king's ransom for Luka, people would be pissed because they like Luka. And it's happened before where a super beloved player gets traded for like a huge package. And then you're thinking, okay, we did get a lot back. Like, that is really cool. So you can at least digest it. But the problem here is the return was awful. So here's the two super duper weird things about the next steps of trading him is, one, they didn't talk to any other teams. They only talked to the Lakers. They didn't make it open season where it's just like, hey, we want to trade Luka. Give us your offers. He's so good that like you might get some silly offers.
And to be clear, like the optics of that would have been really bad, and people would have been trashing them during that process. So that from that perspective, I understand why they had to try to keep it hush hush. But like, don't you still reach out to other owners and say like, you can't speak a word of this, but like, what would you offer for him?
Right. You know what also looks bad optics-wise? Trading him for some off-brand Takis. Like, it's just, So, yeah, I understand wanting to avoid that because it's a bad look.
And just real quick, because I want to make sure we're explaining this properly. Supposedly, the big reason that the Mavs ownership were uncomfortable with extending him was that they felt that they were worried about his durability, his injury history, the fact that he was not keeping himself in shape. And that was really the justification that we kind of heard through other parties, was like, you know, he came into camp overweight. When he got injured, he gained 20, 30 pounds. He was at, 260, 270 pounds when he should be at 240 or 250. And we are concerned about his work ethic moving forward. That is like the narrative that we're hearing.
Sure. And look, that could be a valid concern if that was like actually the case for Luka. Like, yes, I would agree. He's not in the best shape. He could be in better shape.
Neither is Jokic. He's the best player in basketball.
That's the thing. You see people who aren't in the best shape and they make it work. Now, what, like, after the trade went out, Nico Harrison, the GM of the Mavs, like, did a whole press conference, released all these things to try and like show the justification. And everything he said made it worse. But one of the things he said was like, we were fearing we were going to have a Joel Embiid situation where you give him this huge contract and then he's like injured all the time and not playing, and we don't want to be dealing with that. But here's the problem. Luka Doncic, he's been in the league since 2018, 2019. Here's the number of games he's played each season. The max you can play, 82. 72, 61, 66, 65, 66, 70. And now this season, he hasn't played a lot. He's played 22. So that's like a little bit lower. Also, one of those seasons is a COVID-shortened season, so it's not 82. Yes, he's not in the best shape, but he's playing most of every season.
Yeah, he's playing 85% of the games, which is like what a lot of players play anyway because of load management, let alone any injuries.
On the flip side, you look at someone like Joel Embiid. He missed his first 2 seasons, missed all of them. So his career has been 0, 0, 31, 63, 64, 51, 51, 68, 66, 39, and now 14 so far. So like definitely worse. So it's weird to make this claim.
And the main guy they traded for has a history of getting injured a lot.
Yes. Now, to Anthony Davis's credit, he seems to have kind of like kicked the injury bug a little bit.
I think that's like an old narrative.
Right, and he was balling out in his past couple of games, so I get it. So let's get into the next thing of my two-prong thing. First off, like, not talking to other teams is weird. I understand you don't want to do the bidding war. It's bad optics. Nico Harrison was afraid that like Luka and the agent would like steer where he wanted to go and it would get a worse package in return. Like, that is a thing that does happen. We just saw that happen with De'Aaron Fox and the Kings and the Spurs this trade deadline. Because he said, I only want to go to the Spurs, they have no leverage, so you have to get like a poo-poo platter in return. So I can understand not wanting to go like full open bidding. But you got to at least have like a secret conversation with the Bucks about trading for Giannis. You got to have a secret conversation with the Celtics about trading for Tatum or Jaylen Brown and a bunch of stuff. You got to have a secret conversation with the Thunder. Like, you got to have secret conversations because clearly the Mavs wanted a guy who was like just as good as Luka so that they could continue to compete. But they clearly didn't like Luka, whether it was his fit on the court, basketball, or off the court personality. Whatever it is. So I can understand, like, we don't want to go to open bidding. There's only like 5 people that we would maybe trade him for. Talk to those 5 teams.
Right.
Like, that's what's weird. And the next step of it, though, is, but beyond not talking to other teams, is that if you're only going to talk to the Lakers, get more stuff from the Lakers. You only traded him for Max Christie, who's like young and good. Anthony Davis, who's like, all right, he's probably a top 20, top 15, maybe NBA player. But Luka's top 5.
How many years does he have left, realistically? 3 to 5 years?
4, 5? Yeah. Like, where he's good? Yeah. So that's a wild thing. The Lakers also had an additional first-round pick that they could have traded, completely unprotected. They also could do all sorts of pick swaps, which is like super common in these trades where, you know, you don't actually trade a pick, but you as the team giving away the better thing, Luka, you have a pick swap where it's like, okay, we're going to do a pick swap where basically when the year is over, 2027, 2029, whenever it is, when the year is over, we look at the 2 picks and we get whichever one is better.
Right, whichever one is
whichever
lower,
one is worse.
Yeah.
Right. Well, yeah, whichever's closer to number 1, we get. So like you can do those sorts of things. You can throw in a bunch of second-round picks. They have younger players that are either more promising or better than Max Christie. Austin Reeves, notably, a little bit older, significantly better. You could trade for someone like that. Or Dalton Knecht, drafted this year, showing a lot of upside. Rookie, like on a really cheap contract because he's a rookie. So like they don't get like the key young people, they don't get all the picks. They don't get any swaps. So if you do a trade where you get both of their picks unprotected, 2 pick swaps, Max Christie and Austin Reeves, or Max Christie and Dalton Knecht, and then Anthony Davis, then you're mad that Luka, your favorite player, is gone. But you go, we did get a lot. Like, you kind of look at it like, we're going to be maybe like a little bit worse now, potentially just as good if you value those other guys beyond Anthony Davis. And now we've got like a bunch of picks from the Lakers who might be bad, like in the future. I don't think they're going to be bad now that Luka's on the team, but like,
the craziest thing about it, and I think I just kind of figured this all out, is like, this would have made sense. It's almost like the Mavs did it in a win now way when it should have been the Lakers doing that. Like the Lakers have LeBron. LeBron is 40. He's still very good, but he's on bought time. And it would have made total sense if they drastically overpaid to be like, we've got like 1 or 2 years of LeBron. This is our shot. Even if we overpay for Luka, we're going to do it. Instead, they underpaid And the Mavs are in a window where like they'll probably still be pretty good. But even if they win a championship, I still think people would be upset about this. Like I almost cannot even fathom. Like people will stop being Mavs fans forever because of this, and like
it's already happening. It's already happening.
I saw Shane Torres last night, who we've had on the show before, very funny comic, who's a huge Mavs fan, and I went up to him and I was like, "I'm so sorry," and then before I could even finish, he's like, "I can't talk about it," and like, I was like, I want to be like, I'm not trolling. He's like, I know you're being sincere. Like, I genuinely can't talk about it.
Yeah.
And I'm trying to think of like what could to even compare this to. And the only thing I could even imagine is like, after Derrick Rose's MVP season, they are like, yeah, we just, we're worried that maybe he'll get hurt. So we're going to like, if the player who's the entire reason that you're a fan gets traded, especially before you feel like they've had a chance to reach their true potential for the team and for themselves. Like as a Cubs fan, when they traded off the championship core in 2021, it broke my heart, but that team got a chance. They had their chances to like do the thing and they did it once and then whatever else happened. But like, especially if the Lakers end up being good and especially if they win one or multiple championships with LUKA leading the way, I don't think there's ever been a worse trade in the history of sports.
It's like obviously you're gonna have to see how it pans out, but it's truly horrendous. The Mavs are 26 and 25 with LUKA like not playing a lot of the season. They're in the playoffs. LUKA has not played. This is a team that went to the finals last year. Last year,
and he's about to come back too.
Right. I can't even compare this to make a baseball reference. I can't even compare this to trading Aaron Judge in the Yankees because the Yankees, similar thing, made the World Series last year. People didn't necessarily think that they were going to do it. And then they came up short. If we trade our best player, Aaron Judge, that would be wild. People are fans of the Yankees, like because of him. He's lovable. City loves him. He's the captain, everything. But
also real quick, the biggest difference is like in basketball, one player can lead you to the finals. In baseball, 100%. One player can never lead you to the World Series.
That's the difference there. And then also Judge is like older. Like if we did trade Judge for some people, I'd be like, okay, I understand. But with this, like I truly do not understand. It's so weird. And the more that Nico Harrison says about it, the more that it feels like Rob Pelinka, who's his friend, just like freaking catfish this dude. Like apparently Nico Harrison came up with this idea and presented it to Rob Pelinka. So for the Lakers, and this is the frustrating angle.
Can you imagine Pelinka getting that call and be like, dude, are you fucking with me?
He's got to like immediately call whoever his like closest coworker is and be like, you won't fucking believe what just fucking happened. Like Nico Harrison calls Rob Pelinka and is like, hey, we're thinking about doing this. And they even had a quote. Rob was like, no way. And then Nico's like, no, but what if? And he's like, you're serious? Like, it's truly absurd. And Rob Pelinka, power to him, negotiates it down. Apparently, Kirk Goldsberry, who works for The Ringer, reported that like he has a source inside the Lakers that told him like the original deal included like Dalton Connect and another at least one pick. So like it was a more digestible trade package. And then Rob Pelinka convinced Nico Harrison that like LUKA's weight issues are a concern enough that it's an injury risk. So they negotiated it down. Now these guys have a history.
It's like someone on like Antiques Roadshow realizing that they have like an invaluable thing, be like, I'll take it off your hands for $40.
They have Thanos's gauntlet and they're like, oh yeah, it's a glove. Like it's ridiculous. Oh, it might be broken. I don't know. There's 5 empty slots on it. I don't know what to do. And then you get it and you put the rings in and you destroy half the planet. But like, it's wild. I think so. These guys have a history. Nico Harrison used to be an executive at Nike, and Rob Pelinka used to be Kobe Bryant's agent. And obviously, like big Nike thing there. And Kobe is like one of the greatest shoe seller dudes of all time, and his shoes are still wildly popular. So like they have a history. So I think like they're friends, either that or Nico like likes Rob and it's a one-directional friendship.
But also, wasn't there a story that Nico was the person at Nike who called Steph Curry Seth during their pitch to him?
Famously, when they pitched Steph Curry before he was like a megastar, they tried to get him to sign with Nike and they mixed him up with his brother, called him Seth Curry. There were other like, it was like a PowerPoint that they had like copy pasted from a presentation they made to someone else. So there was like, in addition to that, there was like things tailored to another player. Like it was really bad. Now, on the flip though, Nico Harrison, because it was reported like that it was kind of like his call. It wasn't like the owners making this happen. We don't want to pay him, do something. Like this was him like thinking he was smarter than everybody. Now, in his defense, he did have like a couple of moves recently that went well that some people like didn't think would go well. So they do the Kyrie Irving trade, which everyone, including both of us, clown him for, because you think Kyrie Irving, who's fresh off of his fourth conspiracy theory related thing causing an issue in a row, like 4 in a row, like, noted terrible person to have on your team, Kyrie Irving, for vibes. Like, everyone made fun of him for it. And it did pan out. He's been playing really well, and they didn't have to give a lot up to get him, and he hasn't said anything whack publicly since the trade. Then I
don't want to see his private chats.
No, God, no. Now, then they also draft Derek Lively, and it works out pretty well. He turns out to be really, really good. Then they make the trades at the trade deadline, where they have Daniel Gafford, and they have PJ Washington, and both pan out so well that the Dallas Mavericks make the finals. So, and also the Dante Exum thing, like Dante Exum used to be in the league, wasn't in the league. They bring him in, and he's like really freaking good all of a sudden and can make 3-pointers now, which he could never do before. So he had made like 4 moves where it was like, okay, this guy knows what he's doing. And I think he just was high on his own supply and thought like, I'm great. I'm smarter than everybody. I'm going to zag while everyone's zigging. And just, it's universe. I've not heard a single person be like, yeah, okay.
Well, that's what I'm wondering. Like,
it's just 100 to 0.
Do we think that he knew how panned this would be? Or do you think he thought people would be like, oh, that would be...
No, because one of his quotes is they said they are surprised at the backlash. Like, they said that
I am surprised that he is surprised. It reminds me of my favorite Seinfeld quote where Kramer's like, I didn't know it was possible to wake up from a coma. And Jerry's like, I didn't know it's possible not to know that.
Yeah. I mean, it's tough. Now, as I read more and more about this, apparently, little by little, Nico Harrison has been getting rid of people who are the type to push back. So he's just surrounded by a bunch of yes men, like a lot of people who used to be with the organization, like when Cuban was owner and stuff. Those people were either let go or not re-signed. And a lot of people in the front office are just kind of like people that say things to make him happy to hopefully get promotions. And then also, it seems like he personally does not like LUKA. It seems like he does not get along with LUKA because there's other things like LUKA's personal trainer or something was not retained, and now he is, I think, part of the Knicks training staff because Brunson liked him, and then like they let an assistant coach that he liked go, and he's coaching on a different team now. So it seemed like he surrounded himself with people that aren't going to push back, which like you need, and then also he had like anyone pro LUKA was like out of there, or at least he had enough anti-LUKA people. I mean, that's the wildest thing, even beyond talking to other teams and trying to see what other teams would offer for him. The fact that no one else in the organization was like, are you fucking out of your mind? Like that's why you have to...
I wonder how big the circle was, though.
Right. I mean, if you told anyone, like, it should take one person. If you kept it completely silent, I would more understand it. It's like, okay, you're just an idiot. But if you told at least a person, and that person didn't go, what is this? Then you have a bad team surrounding you. Because it's so obvious. Like, I have people who know nothing about basketball texting me being like, this is really bad, right? Yeah. Like,
well,
it's in
the interest of not
ludicrous.
taking up the whole full court press, just talking about this. Obviously, the consensus from the two of us and most people with brains is that this is a horrible move. And if it somehow turns out that Nico Harrison was right and all of us are wrong, honestly, the biggest credit in the world to the guy. It's hard for me to imagine a world where that happens, but like, I don't know. But real quick, let's go through and talk about at least some of the bigger trades. We'll post a link to the trade tracker where you can see like everything that has happened. But why don't we go through and kind of go backwards in time through some of the stuff that's happened here?
Yeah, let's go by like importance. I would say the next most important one was the De'Aaron Fox Kings.
Well, that or Jimmy Butler, I think maybe a tie.
Yeah, I mean, that one is just like Butler tried to force his way to specifically the Suns, and they didn't want to do it. / they didn't want to like give up stuff that the Heat would have accepted because the Heat didn't want Bradley Beal, and it just couldn't happen. So then the Warriors were like, we'll do it. And Jimmy Butler was like, I don't want to play on the Warriors. And then more time went by, and the Warriors were like trying to get Kevin Durant on their team. And Kevin Durant was like, I don't want to go back to the Warriors. That would be bad for my personal life. And then they were like, oh crap. So it was like this thing of like a team not being able to get a star that they wanted, a player not being able to get a team that they wanted, but want to get out. So then both of them being like, okay. And now Butler is on the Warriors for Andrew Wiggins and Kyle Anderson, aka Slow-Mo, and a pick, and Dennis Schroeder. And then Jimmy signed an extension immediately with the Warriors, a 2-year extension.
Even though he said he wouldn't.
Said he wouldn't, but you get paid $60 million a year if you do, which is an upgrade from your current contract of $50 million per year.
It was a 4-team trade, by the way, between the Warriors, the Heat, the Pistons, and the Jazz.
The Pistons and the Jazz got in there. I'm sure that's just a picks and money's making work thing.
Yes. So also, I mean, I would say it was a pretty big trade for the Lakers to get Mark Williams.
Yes. So that's a big one. And what's funny about that is I would say that they definitely overpaid for Mark Williams.
Sure.
But I think
they've got
they had extra stuff.
Exactly, yeah.
So yes, the Lakers end up getting Mark Williams, who's like a good young big man on the Hornets,
and
who just
like big,
has been hurt a lot.
7'2", and they desperately needed size after trading AD.
Yeah, and the Lakers like already needed a big guy before trading AD. So now they super duper need a big guy. So they ended up making this trade for Mark Williams. They send away Dalton Knecht, who's that rookie I was talking about, Cam Reddish, who's not great, and then the 2031 unprotected first round pick, the other one that they could have done, and a pick swap. And that's just kind of like the insult to injury of like the Mavs couldn't get a pick swap. Like you couldn't get a singular pick swap. That's wild.
The Hornets got more pick
they got more draft capital.
Yeah, more draft capital than the Mavs did.
Hey, this is Mike after the fact with an update. This Mark Williams trade got rescinded, so it didn't actually go through. We'll talk about this next episode. Anyway, back to the podcast. It's wild. So, yeah, that's just, I mean, the Lakers just an absolute masterclass, and it's disappointing that they just keep doing it. They just keep getting, they never don't have someone generationally good on their team. It's absurd. It's ridiculous. And this just fell into their lap because Mika Harrison's an idiot.
Yep.
The other big one then I would say is the De'Aaron Fox trade. So De'Aaron Fox is a player on the Kings, or he was a player on the Kings, and he basically said he did like the nice version of forcing your way out of a team where he like let the team know because his contract ends not at the end of the season, but at the end of the next season. And he was like, look, when my contract ends, I'm not going to extend with you guys. Like I'm not coming back. I don't want to play here. I don't want to live here. I specifically would love to play in San Antonio. I don't know if he's from Texas. His wife is definitely from Texas. And he wants to play with Wemby is like the long and short of it. Like, I want to play here. They have the money to sign me to the big deal. I think it would be great.
He's the short and Wemby is the long.
Exactly. That's pretty good. So he let them know, not in like a crappy way, but just in like a, if you want to try and trade me rather than lose me for nothing, you've been good to me. Let me try to be good to you. And they make this trade and they don't get like a huge return, but they do get something. So the Spurs receive De'Aaron Fox and Jordan McLaughlin, and the Kings receive, because it's a 3-team trade involving your Chicago Bulls.
Finally.
They get Zach LaVine, Sidney Sissoko, a 2025 first-round pick from the Hornets, a 2027 first-round pick from the Spurs, a 2031 first-round pick from the Timberwolves. That's actually like a spicy pick. And then a Bulls second-round pick for next year, a 2028 second-round pick for the Nuggets, and a 2028 second-round pick from the Bulls. So then the Bulls receive Zach Collins, who's not great, Kevin Huerter, who's used to be good and is not great, Trey Jones, who's fine, and then their own 2025 first-round pick back.
Well, it was a salary dump.
Yeah, but the problem with it being a salary dump is that Zach LaVine like has been playing pretty well.
Oh,
this
I
year.
think he actually is like an all-star snub, and obviously like all-star voting takes into account how the team is, I think. But like he's been great. Vucevic has been great. They didn't move Vucevic, which I don't understand. He was linked to the Warriors a lot, and then nothing happened. But yeah, I mean, not super thrilled. Obviously, I'm glad that the Bulls like at least did something, but the fact that that's all they did, I don't understand. And then they extend Lonzo Ball, who's been injured forever.
Yeah, that was weird. And the fact that the Bulls gave away 2 second-round picks in this trade is just so weird. I think that's been like the overarching theme of these recent Bulls moves is like you do it and then it's like, okay, but you didn't get like a pick or two? Like the trade, both that and the Josh Giddey trade, it's like, if you get a pick or two back, then yeah, but they don't. So it's weird. So like I get wanting to salary dump, but it just feels like they could have done a little better. And the Spurs didn't have to give away any of their young guys that are like good. They didn't have to give up Stephon Castle, who might win Rookie of the Year. They didn't have to give up Keldon Johnson. They didn't have to give up Jeremy Sohan. They didn't have to give up Devin Vassell. Like they gave away Zach Collins, who's like already on a contract that wasn't very good. And then Trey Jones, who's like irrelevant now that Stephon Castle's really good. And then Kevin Huerter's not one of their players. So they like it's just weird. But the Spurs get their guy, and now the Spurs are like already into scary town with like Fox and Wemby on the team. Like the Spurs are out of the playoff hunt, but like they could get in the mix. They could be a play-in team, and they're like on their upward trajectory. And it's just like fast tracked into like we knew with how good Wemby was that it was going to be like, oh, okay, we're going to get into like the Spurs are scary good town. Now it's happening like way earlier than expected. So everyone try to win before Wemby takes over the world. So I would say those are like all the big trades. There's some other smaller stuff, but nothing like huge. Brandon Ingram to the Raptors. Fine. He was kind of like we weren't going to extend you thing. The Cavs got DeAndre Hunter from the Hawks for some players and some picks. Nothing like super ridiculous. Some like salary dumpy kind of things. So like maybe we'll do a bonus little audio thing at some point on Patreon just for like all the things we didn't get to, but like those are the big ones and obviously like the huge one. But I think people can say what they want about the dunk contest. The trade deadline is back. Like this is the wildest trade deadline I can think of, and it didn't all happen like on the same day. Obviously the LUKA thing kicked it all off, but it's wild. Truly wild. I still can't get over the LUKA thing, and I don't think I'll be able to for quite some time. It's genuinely bizarre.
Yeah, I mean, the LUKA trade is the new bar for wildest trade of all time, and I don't know that anything is going to surpass it ever. So I guess we'll see.
Nope. We'll have to see. But that concludes Full Court Press. Get to like the news. There's so much wild trade deadline stuff that we didn't even get to talk about the very interesting WNBA free agency that's been going on and is still ongoing. So we'll do that in a future episode. But like, there's also been chaos in the WNBA. It is a wild time to follow basketball.
Yeah. I mean, everything was overshadowed by LUKA.
Truly.
So.
Now, to conclude this episode, we'll be doing a very fun interview that we conducted a couple days ago. Super fun, with a Knicks fan who is a professional musician who's been making Knicks themed music recaps after the game on social media.
A Knicks mix, delightful. If you will.
Yes, a Knicks tape. And they have just been so catchy and lovely. And not only are the songs lovely, but Doug, the musician behind them, is lovely. It's a lovely chat. You'll enjoy it, and that will conclude this episode. So, as promised, we are here for a very special interview with a Knicks fan that I would say is one of the most dedicated people out there, just given the amount of effort that I think goes into the Knicks content created. You may have seen Doug B's Knicks Metal Recaps. We're here with Doug B at Doug Lust on Instagram. Doug, how's it going?
Excellent. Coming off a fantastic Knicks win over the Rockets last night. I'm feeling good.
46-point fourth quarter, huh?
17 from the captain. And also, thank you guys for having me on the show. I love the show, so thank you.
Of course. Our pleasure.
Thank you for coming on. I am so stoked. This all came to be because one day Adam just sent me one of your Knicks recaps, and it was whichever one. It was when we beat the Timberwolves, and I'm guessing it was a cover of a Prince song, but I don't even know the song. But I will just say the phrase -37 from Rudy Gobert, I sing it at least 15 times a day just to myself. So I do need to know what song that is so I can listen to like the song it's based off of, unless it's an original.
Well, that's an interesting question. I usually pick a direct cover to base my songs on, but for whatever reason that night I was like, I want to do a vague Prince style groove. Oh. So that's like maybe we call that original, but it was very much channeling Prince. And I think the main groove I was thinking of was the song Head, which is like slightly deeper cut, but it's really hot and like really good. And it has a really cool bass line. So I started with that. And then I ended up with -37 for Rudy Gobert. Which is crazy and one Devo doesn't seem to care. -37 from Rudy Gobert.
God, it's just so good. All right, so let's take it all the way back. For anyone that is unfamiliar with the videos, do you want to explain just what they are and then also how they came to be, the origin story of them?
Sure. So basically, I'm a very active Knicks X user and a very active Knicks fan since I'm basically 5 years old. And I've created Knicks content and basketball content over the years here and there. But just one night I had this idea of, I bet people would really enjoy it if I could write a song about every single game. So basically the content of the song is meant to be in ideally less than 50 seconds. I will tell you key stats, key plays, the biggest contributors and whatever the opposite of a contributor is, and just any funny angle or storyline that happened in the game. I'm going to encapsulate that in less than a minute of music. So that's been my goal for every single, and of course I painted myself in this incredible corner where I have to do it every game. And within a few weeks of doing it, the first game I did, I believe was November 11th, we beat the Sixers. And the initial concept was it's just going to be original metal riffs that I write. And I'm just going to do my metal like growl screaming because I have a band called Cathartic that I do metal screaming in, whatever. So that was the original concept. And then I started gravitating into this covers idea. And that is when I started to get a real response from people. So I've leaned into that, like picking covers that resonate with the particular game. So last night's game was against the Houston Rockets. Houston Rockets, in my opinion, are the toughest, most physical team in the league in terms of their defense and their activity. And Amen Thompson is just like plays with his hair on fire. He's crazy. And it's a team from Texas. So I was like, what music do I think of when I think of like intensity from Texas? Well, I think of Pantera. So I did Walk by Pantera for today's game. So that's kind of like my thought process. Doesn't always have to be exactly like that, but that's how it's all generated. So yeah, we're now like almost 4 months into this experiment, and it's really fun.
And since that first time you did it, have you done every single game since then?
Yeah, I haven't missed a game.
Wow. I thought you were only doing the wins, and then when I went back through, I was like, no, he's doing a recap for all of them, because that's like a harder thing to sit down and make yourself write a song when you're already annoyed at the team losing, which fortunately has been like less frequent than them winning. But
I'm really glad you brought that up, Adam, because my project that I'm doing is built on integrity. Mm-hmm. And it's built on doing the right thing. That's the ethos of this, is like representing ethical fandom. Yeah. So that's why I do losses. And when people get in my comments, like for instance, when the Knicks beat Brooklyn by 4 points, and it should not have been nearly that close. Yeah. And I wrote a song about it because that's my project, right? And so some people get in the comments when we win games against bad teams and are like, all right, dude, it's a little much that you're writing this whole opus about beating the Wizards. And I'm like, I'm here every game, brother. Like, you check my files. When we lost to Atlanta a few weeks ago, I don't know, Mike, maybe you remember this game. It was a close game, and Atlanta. Oh no, I'm sorry. I'm thinking of a game against Detroit that came down to the final minute.
Yeah, was this the what's his face like shimmying after?
Yeah,
game?
Malik Monk like dancing on our graves,
or Malik
basically.
Beasley.
I'm sorry. Malik Beasley.
I'm glad Trae Young did the step over for him yesterday. Kind of feel vindicative, like, hey, he celebrated against us, so now this guy celebrated over him. But Trae Young celebrated against us another time. It's all messy.
Exactly. So I meant Malik Beasley, and those are the two teams that caused me the most agita to lose to, Detroit and Atlanta. So that's why I got them confused. But I had a different instrumental queued up for that game because I tried to pre-record this stuff to save myself some time, so I'm not up till 4 a.m. And that game was so devastating. If you check this Detroit Pistons game, maybe it was 2.5 weeks ago, something like that, you will hear the saddest, most morose music that I could have possibly created. I just said, forget this rock instrumental that I made. I'm going to do string bass. I'm going to do moody pianos. I'm going to do violins. I'm going to do soft acoustic guitar, because that was my least favorite loss of the season. So to tie it all up together, this is an ethical project. This is not about front running. Unlike Trae Young, this is about being on top of what's happening with the Knicks and giving you the real spiel from where I'm coming from.
I mean, that's you gotta respect that, but I do think that heading into your first playoffs of this being the precedent you set for yourself, you don't want. I'm not trying to manifest this. I'm genuinely. I can't believe I'm saying this as a Bulls fan, but like I have been rooting for the Knicks because they're very likable, but if the Knicks lose a Game 7 in the NBA Finals, you are not going to want to write that song. I'm just going to tell you that right now.
I know. I'm toying around in my mind, like, what concept do I go into the playoffs with? Right. Do I do more of like a multi-movement kind of...
Oh, it's a whole rock opera, tells a whole story. It's a full album.
Exactly. Because, you're playing the same team upwards of 4 times. So,
right.
Some way to keep it fresh. I don't know where the inspiration is coming from. It's remained fresh so far. And I've started bringing in lots of I'm a professional musician. It's what I do for a living. I play all over New York City and all over the country all the time. And I've started bringing in my friends to come play with me. And they've been super awesome, just contributing their talents to this.
Yeah.
So, we keep it fresh. You keep it exciting.
Yeah, I mean, I have seen some of the recent videos you're bringing in other people, but for a lot of them, it is you, and then I'm guessing also you, not your twin brother who looks exactly the same as you. But definitely the first couple videos I saw,
They're like
I was
the Thompson
like, oh,
bros.
well, I didn't. The first couple that I was sent, I was just like, oh, like, you know, it's these two guys making videos. And then I watched them a little more intently. I was like, I'm pretty sure it's the same guy twice. Or he has a brother or a friend that looks identical to him. Because sometimes there's sunglasses and props and stuff. So I guess just from like a production standpoint, you've already said that you kind of like pre-prep some of the instrumentals. But what goes into making the videos, especially when you're doing a split screen one where it's like you on a guitar and then you singing in the same room?
Right. And it's been really hilarious to get comments about like, you guys are so awesome, or like you should let the guitarist like come forward and sing. Like there's all kind of funny stuff like that going on, which is hilarious, and I try to play into it. But if you look, obviously I'm doing like a split screen effect. So the process is basically on an average game day, I will come up with a concept of a song. I'll record. Everything is recorded by me. Unless I bring in a guest, which their part is recorded by them. But guitars, bass, drums, keys. I don't play the drums, I program them, but it's all, I know, Mike, you're a musician as well, so you know like kind of this production process. So I put that all together, try to make it sound as good as it can possibly sound. And then I watch the game, which is something that is going to happen anyway. I don't miss games. I watch them on stage. Like it's sick habit of mine. But I will watch the game, and then I don't really write notes, but I really just kind of keep track of the main storylines and the main twists and turns of because every game has these different moments where something unique happens. Like yesterday, obviously Brunson took over, but there was this moment where he gathered, the team was really scuffling, like not playing defense very well. And he gathered the starting lineup, who was all on the floor together. He gathered them into a little huddle. Mm-hmm. And he doesn't really do that often. And it didn't immediately lead to them playing better defense, but over the next like several minutes of action, they locked in. And so those things are significant to me. And I think then we also have to think about stats that are important too, like what combinations of players, and then how do those stats work in a rhyme scheme. And then all that's kind of calculated. Then I write out the lyrics, record them. Then I go and do the video. I take one video of myself singing. I like to do the singing first because I feel like that just sets the energy for the video. And then I put myself in the back. The other me is in the back playing a key instrument. Yesterday it was guitar because of Dimebag. It's got to be guitar.
Sure.
But sometimes I'll do bass. Yeah, I think I've only done guitar, bass, and upright bass and acoustic guitar. Those are the only instruments I've done. And then I've had people play saxophone. I've had singers. I've had keyboard players. So like go back and look at some of the past games. You'll see all the wild different combinations of things. But that's the basic process of making it.
That's awesome. It's great. I mean, the videos are great. They sound great. They look great. They're super fun. So fun that a lot of people are watching them, including Spike Lee commented on at least one of them, right? That's got to be wild as a Knicks fan for Spike Lee to recognize you. Come on.
That was like I dropped a glass out of my hand. It shattered all over the floor moment. That was wild. That was really wild. I mean, there have been some really cool interactions with, I don't know, celebrities, sports figures, whatever you want to call them. But Spike is the craziest one because I've been watching Spike Lee root for the Knicks as long as I've been watching the Knicks. And I don't care what anybody says about Spike. Not only am I a massive fan of his work, whatever people have to say about his Knicks fandom, I think they can shove it because he's been there year after year for this team and he's represented it. And it's just, to me, he represents my trajectory of, and so many others my age, in my life experience growing up in New York City. Like he represents all of us and our dedication and our willingness to go through the lean times of this franchise to get to seasons like this one, which I can't even say how excited I am about the team. I don't want to put expectations on it because
sure,
yeah.
If we can just jump to this for 1 second and you listen, rein me in at any point you want. But like I asked Leon Rose to do a few things and he's done all of them.
Yeah.
So wherever this team lands, Leon Rose, the president of basketball operations for the Knicks, wherever this team lands with this roster, I accept. Because I was not, with no disrespect to his achievements for the team, was not a fan of Randall. Game-wise, I thought he put a little bit of a ceiling on the team that we have. I'm a big fan of Cat, and I always thought that move was an interesting one that made a lot of sense. I love the way that he consolidated RJ and IQ, and I love RJ Barrett, into OG Anunoby with that trade. And so these are all the things to me. And the Bridges trade, whatever. It's an expensive trade, but I understand if you think that piece fits into your concept,
yeah,
you spend your picks, for your 5 picks to acquire Mikal Bridges, who is he a star? Is he a super role player? I don't know. But
he's a good fit.
He's a good fit.
It's one of those things where if you have all of the other pieces and you need the last one, it makes more sense to quote unquote overspend for him because
the Villanova Infinity Stones.
Right. And also just like we're not going to be in a situation where we're going to use all 5 of those picks on people. Like we have too many people on the team that we're paying too much money with Cat at the max basically and Brunson and OG. Like there's no way. So rather than just have these picks become people that don't see the court, like, yeah, turn them into a player. So I think people lose context when they talk about it. But continue on, you're saying, with the team.
Well, and it's funny, like the latest wave of Mikal Bridges buyer's remorse is Luka Doncic was achieved for 1 pick. But that's like, to me, that's a very disingenuous take. And it takes the entire context of whatever that was, it throws it out the window. The Knicks, by the books, they overpaid for Bridges, but like I said, I wanted Leon Rose to show me a super clear concept of what he wanted this team to be, and I see it, and I see how it could work. And if it doesn't lead to a championship this season, I still think there's tons of potential to tweak it. And I think Cat is amazing. I think Brunson is okay. You can talk about the physical limitations of a Jalen Brunson given his height. But in terms of tenacity, what is canine attitude, as Clyde Frazier would say?
Feline quickness, canine attitude.
Exactly.
Yes.
Episode title right there.
There hasn't been a winner from a mentality standpoint in New York sports since Derek Jeter, in my opinion. And that is significant to me. No matter what you say about his game, there's a different level of determination. I mean, the way he finished the game against Houston last night was just like, we will not lose.
I mean, he picked up like a clutch steal. Jalen Brunson is not known for his defensive prowess, and arguably the most important play of the game is fresh off of a turnover where he may have made a bit of an error, but Amen Thompson's a ridiculous defender. He gets a steal. It's like not his deal, but he just barrels down and knows like, I'm the captain. I got to lead the team.
Exactly.
Let's make it happen.
Well, the whole thing is like the whole idea of overpaying for anyone is really based on what that team ends up doing, which is to say that like, I would be willing to bet that for the two of you as lifelong Knicks fans, if I could guarantee you that the Bridges era will garner you even one championship, you would be willing to give away the next 25 years of first-round picks because all you want is that one, right? And
I just want one championship before I die.
Exactly.
That's it.
Well,
that's it. Just one.
So, Doug, one of the running themes of this podcast, despite it being a basketball podcast, is that I shoehorn in a baseball reference at least once per episode. I'm a diehard Cubs fan, and a great example of this in 2016. The Cubs traded for Aroldis Chapman, notably horrible person, but we'll leave that out of it for now. But they trade for Aroldis Chapman at the deadline to the Yankees and overpaid by a mile, but they won the World Series, so who gives a shit? Now, if they lose that year, do I feel that way? Maybe not. But like, I would have traded the whole team for half a season of anyone who was going to help them win a World Series, and it happened. So like, if the Knicks win during this window, who the hell cares who you gave up? That the whole point is trying to win now when you have a team that's able to do that, and I feel like this is like where the Knicks are at. There's not like a Dodgers equivalent in the NBA right now, and the Knicks window is right there.
And that's the beauty of the whole salary cap.
Right.
And also my father is a Cubs fan, by the way, and taught me
nice.
how to be a sick diehard fan based on his Cubs fandom. So congratulations on that World Series.
Thank you.
I'll just tell you a quick aside. I called him after the Cubs won the World Series. I was in, I don't know, Kansas City or something on tour, and I called him. I said, "Hey, Dad, they finally did it." He was, yeah, they didn't play great, but they got it done.
Oh my God.
All right, Pop. But
I thought you were going to say he was sobbing.
I was sobbing, and he was like, yeah, like you could have tightened it up a little bit, whatever. But yeah, so that's the beauty of what the Knicks are doing, in my opinion, point blank, is they were rumored to be going star hunting for a long time. And I don't think they did not present the Karl Anthony Towns trade as like, this is our big get. They did not present the Mikal Bridges trade as this is our big get. They did not present the Jalen Brunson signing as this is our big get. Every step of the way, they've been telegraphing to fans that they are building a roster of fit and continuity. And I play basketball, like pickup, rec league, that kind of thing. The beauty of the game to me is you can win it in a million different ways. You can win a basketball game. And when it comes down to creating a team of complementary pieces, that to me is one of the most surefire ways that you can maximize the amount of wins that you get. Mm-hmm. If you put all your eggs in the basket of a single player, it depends how that guy gets out of bed that morning. But as we saw last night, the Knicks, people came into that game saying Houston's so much more athletic. Houston's so much faster. They get up and down the court so much faster than the Knicks. How are they going to have a chance? Well, you can't make that excuse when you're trying to win a championship. You have to use your personnel to figure out, to solve the puzzle. And the Knicks, I think, they get better and better at solving the puzzle with the personnel that they have. And that's my soliloquy on why I'm excited.
No, they're a
Knicks
deep
build.
team.
Yeah.
It's kind of, I think the Knicks sometimes it's like a, death by 1,000 paper cuts sort of when they get it done. But another big part of it, and this is something that Mike and I talk about a lot because it was so bad for so long, is like the vibes around the Knicks are so good. They've been so good the past couple of years, and that is so such a far cry from like really how the past several decades of Knicks basketball have been.
Yeah, I mean, the vibes are good in terms of the fans being happy that we're good. Like, vibes are even good just when we had the surprise, we're actually good Julius Randle year. And then that was even in a situation where, like, he kind of got grumpy with the fans and stuff. Now, the vibes are good because, like, Josh Hart is just, like, leader of the vibes. He's the funniest person in the league. He gets along
slaps
great.
Brunson on the ass during interviews.
Yes, like, gets along with Jalen Brunson, who's also, like, a great vibes guy. And then they bring in Mikal Bridges, who's a good friend. Karl-Anthony Towns is a nice guy. And I think it's even more proof of Leon Rose putting together an intentional team is that we have people that fit from a basketball perspective, and no one's a jerk. Like, everyone is really bought in terms of personality wise. I think Tibbs is a great coach for them to do that. You have people who have like really fought their way into being relevant people on the team, like Deuce McBride, who is this late draft pick G League dude that nobody cared about except for me. And then all of a sudden he finally gets playing time and he's ridiculous and he's really good and he's just like hungry and ready to contribute. And now the city loves him. Like, the Garden gets louder when he shoots a three than anything else. Like, it's just 18,000 people saying Deuce at the same time, and it's fantastic. So I think it's a great thing. And to make the rare, I don't know if we've ever done this on this podcast, to make the rare chess reference, I think that the moves that Leon has done, it's like when you're playing a game of chess and you just make a bunch of moves, and maybe this is just me. I play a lot of chess on chess.com, and you can do like the game review afterwards. And there's the thing with like chess computers that will tell you an advantage, and it'll be, someone makes a stupid move, you take away their queen, you'd be up like plus 10 or something. But there's some chess games where you just make a little thing and your advantage goes from like 0 to plus 0.5 to plus 0.75 to plus 1 to plus 1.2. And like, it doesn't look like you're making these stellar moves, but 20 moves go in a row where you've just not made any mistakes. And then you look at the board and you're like, oh my God, I'm in an incredible position. And that's exactly what the Knicks have done. Like, we've made good moves. And the big thing, going against Knick tradition, we haven't done any monumental fuck ups, which is always our thing. Like, things are okay. And now we've traded for Andrea Bargnani. Like, we've never done any colossal mistakes in this iteration of the Knicks. And
don't jinx it. We got 48 hours until the trade deadline.
You're right.
God. Right. Yeah. But oh my gosh. But like, I think that's the key, is just, it seems to be a very well-intentioned process that they've put together. We haven't taken like huge swings at the trade deadline. We haven't taken huge swings at the draft. Like, it's all been moves that when you see it, you're like, I see what they're doing. So I agree with Doug. Like, even if this Knicks team doesn't win it all, I just like appreciate the intentionality in which they were put together, and it makes them easy to root for because you never have to question like, what are they doing?
Exactly.
And it makes it fun. And then the dudes are just fun. The guys are nice.
Breaking
They're fun
news,
too.
Knicks trade Cat and Brunson for Nikola Vucevic in a shocking...
I was like, I'm listening.
After the
For
LUKA
LUKA.
trade, unfortunately, anything is possible.
Yeah,
like,
definitely true.
That trade dropped in literally 10 minutes. I was like, all right, when does the I got hacked tweet come out? There's no way this is real. So like, this trade deadline, we're recording this on Tuesday, February 4th. Like, I don't know. I think I'm just gonna have to like not check the internet because I will believe anything. I will believe anything. I'm gonna have to wait until like 3:05 p.m. Eastern time Thursday to be like, is this all real and vetted? Because there's like anything is in play now.
I got destroyed today. I went on Instagram and I saw somebody posted that LUKA didn't pass his physical to
That would
join
be
the
so
Lakers. Like totally, I
Too
was
overweight and drunk to pass his physical.
like that. I guess I've been consuming so much LUKA's overweight information that I was like,
The
no
algorithm.
way, like it's not gonna happen.
So funny.
But
My gosh. To bring it back before this current Knicks iteration, what was the beginning of your Knicks fan? Was there a particular time when you started watching, when you got like really into the team? Was there a watershed, like I'm all in Knicks fandom moment for you?
yeah, definitely. When I was 5, the Knicks were in the NBA Finals, and my brother, who was 10, was a Knicks fan. He doesn't care about the Knicks now. He lives in Sacramento now, and we go to really good Kings games whenever I go visit him.
Like the beat.
But he was all in on the Knicks, and he was sharing the experience with me. And there was one night when our parents made us go to bed before the game was over, so he snuck in a battery-powered radio, and we listened in our
That's
bedroom.
a good bro right there.
That's like a magical night of Knicks fandom that gave me the bug, essentially. And we followed and followed, and all through that second finals run, and of course Larry Johnson's 4-point play, was another huge I remember where I was moment. And then I got really into music around 2002 and became obsessed with practicing bass, which is right around the time the Knicks kind of started to careen into the Isaiah Thomas years of making some really terrible trades and having some really bad juju in general around the team. So I basically poured all my time and emotions into music for the next couple of years. And then I went to college, and the idea around 2007, I would say, I'd been following peripherally. 2007, the idea that LeBron might ultimately on his next contract end up here started becoming a thing that was a groundswell. And I just started throwing on Knick games in my dorm room and checking in with them. And all within a few months of the 2006, 2007 season. So after about 4 years of just practicing and not really doing much else, the Knicks kind of drew me back in. And I love that team too. I love those teams from the the mid-aughts. Like I was at the game where Chris Duhon had 21 assists and David Lee had 25 rebounds or whatever against the Golden State Warriors, whatever that was. You can look that up. It's probably not worth your time. But like I was there, and then I was committed. What happens with the LeBron sweepstakes? I was late for a rehearsal because I was watching the decision like a moron when the news had already broken that he was going to Miami. And then the Knicks signed Amari, and Amari got me really excited because he had a fantastic first couple of months. And then they traded for Melo, and that team looked totally different. But then I went to my first playoff game in 2013 when the Knicks eliminated the Celtics in the first round.
Oh yeah.
And that was another significant, I love this team. I'm just on it.
Not to mention Linsanity.
Linsanity was wild. But everything with Knicks always had this underpinning of it's fleeting and it's going to be rebuilt. And then I remember where I was when Porzingis tore his ACL. And then I remember where I was when he got traded. And he was a Knick when I got on the subway. He was a Maverick when I got off the subway.
Pingis.
All this stuff. And Brandon Jennings, and Melo, that might work. All these different things, but I remember the core days of listening to that game with my brother, and it's just a part of my identity. So we ride it out from 2006 after my little sabbatical. Please forgive me for that.
Look, we all had that time. It was tough. It was tough. I think any Knicks fan can have a bit of a sabbatical, especially if you were there during an unhinged era.
Exactly.
I remember really wondering whether or not Alonzo Trier was going to contribute to the Knicks. I'm looking at Ramon Sessions's plus minus. I was in the doldrums.
Alonzo Trier is on the higher end of players that you have this conversation with yourself about. You know what I mean? It goes so far to what is Damian Dotson? What maybe Trey Burke has a renaissance left in. All these crazy things.
Maurice Dower, we got to get him off the summer league team.
Speaking of LUKA. But anyway, The reason I say that is because he basically Maurice Andor hit a shot that all pretty much ensured we didn't get Luka Doncic in the draft. But anyway, so then this team started to build. I was a huge RJ guy. I always thought it was kind of at odds with Randall and all this other stuff. But now we come out the other side of it with this really nicely built, sustainable, multiple excellent players in their multiple all-stars in their prime. And it's just, for me, basketball is the best sport. We grow up here in New York City. Everybody plays, everybody knows the game, everybody's aware of it. And to me, it's also the game that's most like music, or at least the kind of music that I relate to. Like, there's a lot of decisions that are made. You come in with a concept and a feel and a combination of people, and then you make a lot of decisions in the moment about how things should go based on, okay, maybe it's different than what we thought it was. Was that a mistake? Oh no, it kind of worked. That's what happens in basketball. And I'm obsessed with the game. And I, as a musician who's worked extremely hard on my craft, just like every NBA player from Jokic to Bronny has worked on their game extensively. It's just I felt like it was time for me to create a nexus between those worlds, and I think that's what this is. This my video project, my music project, wherever it takes me. I just want to share how basketball makes me feel as a musician.
Well, and by the way, like, to give you your flowers in terms of the work, like, I think the reason that it works and the reason that you're getting the reception that you've gotten is because the music is really good. Like, yes, the songs are funny, and yes, the recaps are, I think anyone who's a Knicks fan would get a kick out of them. But I don't think it works if the music's not good. Like, it's the SNL like 50th anniversary coming up. I just watched this documentary about like music and SNL, and one of the points they made was like, the stuff that's really stuck around for decades has done so because it's genuinely good music. Like, yes, the Lonely Island stuff was funny, but they're also like really catchy and well crafted songs. And I think like it's very obvious that you are a professional musician, because it's not like someone plinking away on like a little mini keyboard singing off key. Like, the songs are good.
Thank you. I appreciate that. Yeah.
I think they're great, and I would hope that your future involves the Knicks official getting you in the mix, because I've seen enough celebrities that I don't recognize and enough social media people who make garbage content. Mm-hmm. Like, I don't need to see the Rizzler at a Knicks game. Get that out of here. I want to see actual Knicks fans who are doing cool things. So here's praying for the Knicks X Doug Lust collab down the road. Maybe you can do a metal version of the Go NY song. Like,
I'm thinking of like a Beastie Boys Run DMC sort of like metal meets rap with that Liddy Raps guy. What's that guy's name? The guy who always does like the Knicks raps?
Oh, Lil D.
Yeah.
Lil D, yeah.
Can I tell you that I jammed with him at a Knicks event?
That's very cool.
There was like this crazy watch party. Big Nick Energy and Brooke Rose, Leon's daughter, threw this watch party to raise money for charity. And they tapped me to come put something together. So I just got 3 really amazing musicians to put a little mini like Knicks set together, and we started rocking. And I saw Lil D at the bar, and I was like, dude, no pressure, but if you want to come spit. And he got up and he was amazing. He like has
awesome.
like insane Knicks bars. He was like, you want me to do a regular rap or a Knicks rap? And I was like, I think you should do the Knicks rap.
Yeah.
And it was wild.
That's awesome.
Another tangent,
but no, wonderful. Well, Doug, thank you so much for taking the time to chat with us. Super fun to hear a little behind the scenes of how you make the videos. They're great. We're watching them. Keep them coming. And just here's hoping that, the season can continue to do well and you're making more victory songs than defeat songs.
Let's go, Knicks.
Yeah. If people want to find you and all your stuff, you want to, plug all of the socials and your band, anything else that you want the people where they can find you?
Sure. Yeah. Follow me at Doug Lust, DUGLUST on X and TikTok and Instagram. And that will be where you will find all the information about the musical projects that I'm involved in. So thank you guys for that.
Sweet. Of course. No problem. Thanks for listening to this episode of Horse Horses, hosted by Adam Mamawala and Mike Schubert. Our editors Kensei Saramaki. The music is by Bettina Kapaman. The art's by Allison Wakeman. The website's by Kelly Schubert. And the social media is by both of the Horse Boys.
Thank you to our producer-level patrons, Polly Burge, Salvador Testa, Siobhan Ellsbury, Doka Chasing Taco Falls, Bang, Bang, Roast Beef Debris, Denver Steam Nuggets, Anna Reed, Steph Curry, and Jimmy Buckets for 3.
Bong?
Bong, sure. Hi Trish, hi Allie, Chase Underulo, Naked Rachel, Sidney Crosby as a Vampire, Chelsea's Cousin, Ginger Spurs Boy, Balls to the Walls, and Mats Furli. You can follow us on Facebook and Instagram at Horse Hoops and on Twitter at Horse_Hoops because...
Horse Hoops was run by Nico Harrison.
Yeah, I figured it had to be something.
We had to punish him. We just had to punish him.
Exactly.
Who of us took Mavericks in the drama draft? Because now, like...
Oh, man. That's going to be a fun one to relitigate when we get to that.
That's going to be wild.
Between
Absolutely
that, the Jimmy Butler
wild
stuff, it's going to be intense.
Really
you can
ridiculous.
go to our website, horsehoops.com, for links to all of the trades that have happened and much, much more.
Yes, and if you want to support the Horse Boys, you can go to patreon.com/horsehoops. You can join the new tiers. You can get all the cool stuff there. There's digital stuff. There's physical stuff. Then more physical stuff. There's the horse shirts. You can go to horsehoops.com/merch. You can get Sub Nerds basketball shirts. And sorry, I'm pulling up the tweet to see who has the Dallas Mavericks on their team. Oh, yes. Let's go. Okay. Huge. Great. Good. Because that offsets you having the Miami Heat. That's going to be, we already, it's going to be.
Yeah, and I don't think either of us mentioned LUKA being traded on that.
No. God. So yeah. But yes, you can support us on Patreon or the merch store. And we're going to put our hands in the middle, say something on the count of 3 to conclude this episode. I feel like we just got to say, like, something.
I think let's just, on the count of 3, say, what?
Yeah, what on 3? I feel bad. I feel like I don't like the Dallas Mavericks. The Knicks have, like, kind of a rivalry with the Dallas Mavericks. I live in Houston. Houston has an active rivalry with the city of Dallas. Like, this is even a team that I don't want to see good things happen to, and I feel so bad for the team and their fans.
Yeah.
I think we say what on the count of 3, followed by a pause, and then I'm sorry.
Okay, we can do that.
All right. 1, 2, 3.
What?
I'm sorry.
I am. I really am.
It sucks. It sucks. Like, it's not, especially because it goes to the Lakers. The Lakers?
Yeah. I cannot wait, though, for that first Lakers
Oh, my
Mavs
God.
game. It's like a week from Tuesday.
We didn't even talk about how...
LA, but the one in Dallas is going to be...
But here's the thing. To end the episode here, you know who's going to become the most fit, in-shape person ever now? Luka Doncic.
It's going to be so funny when Luka has like an 8-pack just out of
He's
spite.
going to have a 37-pack. He's so vindictive. Like, he talked so much trash the minute he stepped into the league. He yelled at Rudy Gobert all the time. At the finals, told him, like, you can't or in the conference finals, you can't fucking guard me, like, you fucking motherfucker. And now... He's going to be in such good shape. He's going to score 99 points against the Dallas Mavericks.
Like, if he drops like 50 on the Mavs that first game, it's going to be so funny.
He's going to have the first, like, 30-30-30 triple-double. Like, it's going to be absurd. Okay, thank you everyone for listening.